Okay, so forget everything you think you know about this story. We're not just retelling a classic tale here. We are opening a case file. We're diving deep into the foggy, gaslit streets of Victorian London, where a very respectable doctor's good name gets tangled up with a creature of pure, unspeakable evil.
And it all kicks off with this, just chilling description. You have this small, strange man who tramples a little girl in the middle of the night. Not out of anger, but with this terrifying, almost inhuman indifference. This is our very first glimpse of a Mr. Edward Hyde, a figure who seems less like a person and more like some unstoppable force.
Now, you can't have an investigation without an investigator, right? Well, ours is Mr. Utterson. He's a quiet, very loyal lawyer, and his entire world of predictable routine is about to be completely shattered by a growing fear for his oldest friend, the brilliant and well-loved Dr. Henry Jekyll.
So here's how the mystery really starts. This man, Hyde, gets cornered after this awful crime, and to make it all go away, he pulls out a check. But the signature on it isn't his. No, it belongs to Dr. Jekyll, one of the most reputable men in all of London. So how in the world could these two possibly be connected? The immediate thought, of course, is blackmail.
And this is where things get really worrying for Utterson. He pulls out Jekyll's will and gives it another read, and it's a legal nightmare. Everything, his entire fortune, goes to this Mr. Hyde, a guy Utterson's never even laid eyes on. And get this phrase, unexplained absence. It's like Jekyll fully expects to just disappear. To Utterson, this doesn't feel like a friendship. It feels like his friend is trapped.
So Utterson decides, okay, I have to see this Hyde character for myself. And when he finally does, the contrast is, it's just shocking. On one hand, you've got Dr. Jekyll, handsome, respected, basically the poster child for a proper Victorian gentleman. And on the other hand, there's Hyde, a creature so repulsive, the people who meet him can't even explain why they feel that way. He's not just ugly, he feels fundamentally wrong, which, makes their connection even more baffling.
When Utterson finally sits Jekyll down and asks him what's going on, Jekyll's answer just makes things 100 times worse. He insists he's in total control, that he can get rid of Hyde anytime he wants. But then, in the very same breath, he begs Utterson to take care of Hyde if something happens to him. It's this totally baffling contradiction. He's not asking for help escaping a blackmailer. He's asking Utterson to protect the blackmailer.
After that, things go quiet for a while. But then, about a year later, the whole situation just explodes. This isn't a private worry anymore. It's a public horror. Mr. Hyde isn't just some creepy guy anymore. Now, he's a murderer.
You can just see how this thing spirals out of control. It starts with this shocking but not deadly act of cruelty. Then you get the weird legal stuff with the will. And now, a year later, the brutal, completely unprovoked murder of a beloved public figure, Sir Danvers Carew, who was clubbed to death in the street with what witnesses called ape-like fury. Hyde's evil is getting worse and a lot more public.
And this is the moment that changes everything for Utterson. At the crime scene, the police find the murder weapon. It's a broken walking cane, and Utterson recognizes it instantly. He gave that cane to Henry Jekyll as a gift, years ago. The connection isn't just a suspicion anymore, it's physical. It ties his respectable friend directly to a savage murder.
Jekyll swears up and down he's finished with Hyde, that the man is gone for good. He even shows Utterson a farewell letter from Hyde as proof, but the whole story just falls apart, piece by piece. First, the butler says, no one delivered a letter today. Then, the bombshell. A handwriting expert takes one look and says Hyde's writing is identical to Jekyll's. The only possible conclusion: Jekyll didn't get a letter. He wrote it. He's not a victim. He's helping a murderer.
So Hyde vanishes after the murder, and for a little while it almost seems like the old Jekyll is back. He's social, he's doing charity work, he seems at peace, but it doesn't last. All of a sudden, he locks himself away in his laboratory, becoming a total recluse, and a new, much deeper kind of terror starts to set in.
And the end comes really, really fast. It's just one thing after another. First, their good friend Dr. Lanyon suddenly dies, basically from shock, saying he never wants to hear Jekyll's name again. Then Utterson catches a glimpse of Jekyll at a window, and his face twists in a look of such pure horror that it freezes the blood. And the final straw, Jekyll's butler, Poole, shows up on Utterson's doorstep, completely convinced that his master is dead and some thing has taken his place.
So that's the question driving them both crazy. Poole says he's been hearing strange sounds coming from the lab,
weeping, pacing back and forth, and this desperate, round-the-clock search for some kind of chemical. But the most disturbing part, he's seen the figure inside, and it is not Dr. Jekyll.
Cool's story is just bone-chilling. The thing he saw inside was small, dwarfish. It moved differently. When it saw him, it cried out like a rat and scurried back into the shadows. He is absolutely certain that Dr. Jekyll has been murdered and his killer is now hiding out in the lab. And for Utterson, there's only one person that description could possibly fit: Edward Hyde.
So that's it. They've had enough. With an axe and a fireplace poker, they decide to take matters into their own hands. After one last desperate cry from inside, in Hyde's voice, they smash that door to pieces.
And what they find inside is, well, it's just weird. The room is quiet, a fire's going, the tea kettle is on. It's bizarrely calm. But there, in the middle of the floor, is Edward Hyde, wearing clothes that are way too big for him, dead from drinking poison. So the murderer is dead. Case closed, right? Nope. A new mystery begins. Where in the world is Dr. Jekyll? They search the entire house, but he has simply vanished.
The search turns up nothing. But on Jekyll's desk, Utterson finds a large envelope. Inside are 2 other sealed documents. The real answers, it turns out, aren't going to be found in a crime scene. They're waiting for him, in writing. Starting with a letter from a man who's already dead. The first letter is from their friend, the late Dr. Lanyon, and it just blows the whole case wide open. It explains what terrified him to death. He describes how Hyde showed up at his house, mixed a potion using chemicals Lanyon had fetched from Jekyll's lab, and then the impossible happened. Lanyon watched with his own 2 eyes as this creature convulsed, transformed, and became their friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll.
So Lanyon's letter tells us what happened, but the second document, which is Jekyll's own full confession, finally tells us why. And it all started with a scientific theory, this belief that every single person isn't just one being, but 2, one good and one evil, constantly at war inside us.
You see, Jekyll had this dream. He thought, what if he could separate those 2 natures? What if he could give his evil side its own body? Then he, Henry Jekyll, could be free to live a purely good life, without ever being bothered by dark thoughts or temptations again. I mean, it sounds like a noble goal, right? But the way he went about it was a complete and utter disaster.
The truth then, the unbelievable truth, is this. Hyde was never a separate person. He was Jekyll. The potion didn't create a monster out of thin air, it just stripped away every decent, good, and noble part of Jekyll's soul, and what was left over was given a body. A body of pure, concentrated evil. That was Edward Hyde.
And at first it worked. It was liberating. As Hyde, Jekyll could do all the terrible things he'd secretly wanted to do, with 0 consequences for his reputation. But here's the thing about feeding the monster inside you. Eventually, it gets bigger than you are. Every time he became Hyde, that evil side of him grew stronger, and the Jekyll side grew weaker. Pretty soon, he didn't even need the potion. He'd just fall asleep as Dr. Jekyll and wake up as Mr. Hyde. And when a vital ingredient for the reversal potion ran out, that was it. The door was locked. He was trapped as Hyde forever. His very last act, as he felt that final change coming, was to write his confession, and then, as Hyde, end both of their lives.
And that, really, is the haunting legacy of this whole case. The story isn't just about one man who unleashed a monster. It's a terrifying warning that the monster was already inside him, all along. Which forces us to ask ourselves, what is our own inner Hyde, and what are we doing to keep that door locked?